You
Did I
know,
ever
like
tell you about my
every.
first boner though? That's always a good origin story. It's like fucking X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like I have a whole story for my first boner
How would you even remember your first boner?
because it was a really special occasion. Like it was my first planned
Uh,
boner. Like I'd always got, you get the random boners. You're like, oh, my pee pee's a little hard. That's odd, as a kid. It's not odd now. Like I know what's going on now, but
all right.
back then you don't know. And I remember the very first time I started to correlate things. I was like, when I see boobies, my pee pee gets a little firmer. So for the first time in my life, I went out of my way to look at boobies. And I remember when my wiener got hard, and it was a strange occasion, because like I didn't know what to type in to find any of that. So I typed in the word fudge, and on like the fourth page of Google Images was a woman with an extremely hairy vagina, and it was enough to get me hard. And I was like, oh fuck, what do I do now? What's the next step? So I tried to suck my own dick, but since I wasn't flexible, I compensated for like the lack of mouth on wiener action, like the distance between them. I compensated by pissing into my face, or at least that was my plan. But
All right.
the second I started to like force urine out of my wiener, I couldn't go through with letting it hit my face, so I just like dodged back. I was like, I'm not doing this. I can't. If this is what boners are, I don't like them. I just didn't know how to treat it. But yeah, I remember my
All right.
first boner. I remember when once I started getting mastery of the boners and understanding how they worked, I still didn't jerk off because I didn't know that was what you were supposed to do in that situation. So I never really jerked off, but I used to do everything else. Like I'd start slapping my boners because I thought that felt good. Even though it hurt, I was like, oh, this is probably normal. This is what you do. You just slap it around and let it know who's boss. So every time I would get like a boner, even in public, I would slap it around. It was so embarrassing. I used to do it under my desk at school and hope nobody heard or noticed. Ugh.
Like you're like you were trying to kill a fly.
I don't know. I don't know what my thought process was, but like I would get a boner and be like, oh, I gotta slap it around, and I just start giving it the business. And it wasn't until like I must have been like 14 when I first learned about jerking off. Like all
I
of the boners up till then were just in vain.
my two friends like two. I think it was two. Like there's more than one guy who told me that they first used this weird technique where you jack off with your boxers still on. You basically just rub your knuckles over your dick, and you keep rubbing back and forth like you're trying to play guitar, but with your knuckles against your dick. And because it would be over your boxers, that would it would feel good without bad friction. And but the obvious downside being that when you come, you do come into your boxers, and
Hmm.
then your mommy has to clean that up and be proud of you.
I don't know if she has to be proud of you. I think that's only my family.
No, I mean, if you're a parent, I guess that would be like, I don't know, like a milestone, like a real life achievements. Like, oh,
Yeah,
my
baby's
kid's
first
first.
ejaculation. Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's cute. He doesn't know how to hide his cum yet. Oh, I bet he even left his porn tabs open. Honey, look at this. Our son came. He just left it out in the open.
Oh,
What a
he's just like you, honey. He's watching the good old chicks with dicks.
adorable. Alright, so you touched your wiener in front of a whole basketball
Oh, I didn't
court.
just. You're selling me short there. Touching my wiener is doing me a justice I don't deserve. I was beating my wiener like it owed me money.
Mm, that's good. Do they also do that in America, where, or anywhere really? Because I've only heard about this in Turkey. I've seen it in Turkey, where the entire back row of a classroom in grade school will just be jacking off.
A friend of mine, well, not a friend of mine, a friend of my friends used to jerk off and come during class a lot.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
But
I
he
mean.
wasn't in the
But
back
like,
row. He would do it in the front row. And no, like who's gonna stop him?
oh,
Who's
like,
gonna go up to this guy who's jerking off openly in front of the class and say, "Please don't do that," or like push his hands away from his cock. No one's gonna
was
get that close.
was he alone in it? Because what I'm talking about is like organized, like a whole row of guys would go to the back.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
It was just a lone ranger.
I see. Well, that was a brave man. That guy's a pioneer, probably.
Yeah, no, that guy really tried to bring about a revolution that no one followed. But he had the right
Yeah,
idea. When you're jerking off, you're invincible. No one's gonna stop you. No one's gonna come up to
dude.
you
I
and
mean,
like take your hand away from your dick. Like no one's gonna slap your
shit,
hand away.
that's a hero, man. I bet he's like jerking off on Everest right now. You know, one of my actual like bucket list items is just jerking off while skydiving and coming before I land. It's just something I want to try. So I just have a story where, you know those douchebags who always have to one up your story. Like you tell them about something cool that happened to you, they're like, "Oh yeah, that happened to me too," but like it was, and they tell you some bullshit that's just so much cooler than yours.
Yeah.
And I want to have that story where, like, you tell me I don't know, you were at a bar fight and it was so cool because this big guy he got tackled through a post, and I'll go, "That's nice. Have you ever jizzed while free falling?"
Yeah, I've always wanted like an ace in the hole type story where if someone's trying to lie me, I'd be like, no, 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 you sit down and listen to this. But I don't have anything like that yet.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever shoved a dildo up your ass and then like sucked your own dick mid-air?
Well, I don't think anyone would be impressed by that. I think they'd just be scared. The jerking off while skydiving is cool, but adding the dildo is just an extra layer of flavor you didn't need.
No, Charlie, there is a thin line between respect and fear, and I dance on it.
I remember one time my parents and I were going to go to the movies and we had it all planned out, but I really wanted to jerk off. So I told them straight to their face, look, I really want to go, watch some porn and ejaculate. And I made them wait for me to go do that, finish, and then we could go to the movies. And we had to go to a later movie because that took longer than I anticipated.
Oh, that's really...
Yeah.
It must have been an awkward wait.
I can't even imagine.
Well, I mean, no, because there's like it's like bittersweet, like your dad must have been like, oh goddamn, we're gonna miss the movie because of the goddamn asshole, but at the same time, wow, he's really
he's
like
committed
some
to the,
salmon.
yeah, he's committed to the craft. I think
well,
there was a bit of respect there, like my dad was proud. That's my boy. Can jerk off just like his old man did.
Yeah, 20 minutes now. Wow.
He's still going. Man, nothing used to stop me from jerking off. I broke my right hand one time, just went lefty, just off pure instinct. I was like, I know what to do with this thing. Just right in there.
Good.
Made sure to tell my parents then too. Look, guys, I'm gonna have to mix it up and go lefty this time. Is that okay? Am I breaking family traditions if I do this?
All right. You're really committed to involving your family in your jerk sessions.
Yeah, I was a weird kid, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Oh, that reminds me. One time I was coming as I was staring into my brother's eyes. It was uncomfortable. I was jacking off, and I guess I forgot to lock the room. No, I remember. Like when you wake up in the morning, you just have a monster steel erection, and you don't want to get up without jacking off first because it will feel like you just left something in the middle of it. It just doesn't feel right. So I started jacking off under the covers, and just as I'm about to come, the second I'm starting to come, like the jizz is in the dick tube, but it's not out yet, my brother comes into my room, just opens the door and says, are you gonna get up or what? Breakfast is ready. And I'm just legs spread, and I just look at him, like into his eyes, and I come under the sheets. I don't think he noticed, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little uncomfortable.
That sounds like it would be a little uncomfortable.
Imagine if that happened to you and your dad, or mom.
It's
your sibling that's still that's kind of well. But if your I don't know, mom catches you coming, wouldn't you feel like you were cheating on your dad? I don't know.
No, well, that's a weird way of putting it, but I feel like I was conditioning my parents for that reveal. I think they were just waiting for the day they accidentally told me to come eat dinner, and they just saw me spread eagle on the floor, just looking up at my computer, jerking off her in some weird position, fucking hanging from a fucking rope in the air, doing some of those what do they call them, the curtain, the drape acrobatics while jerking off. I think they were just waiting for something unexpected or something disgusting.
Oh my! Ooh, here's what I used to when I was still not a believer, but if you're young and people tell you, oh, all of your dead relatives, they're in heaven and God is real and blah blah blah, you believe that shit, right? You don't question it. So at some point, for some reason, I developed this weird kink where I always it would bug me wait a minute, all of my dead and relatives are in heaven and they're watching me every moment, like even when I take a shit. Like
I used to think
if I'm
that same
just
way.
yeah, it's just so weird. Like I don't have any privacy even when I'm just doing homework or watching TV. They're watching me. So, and this devolved into this weird kink where when I was jacking off, I would kind of get into it. Like, damn, yeah, they're watching me, and they can't do a thing about it until I die. They cannot question me. Like my grandma, my grandpa, like my entire lineage might be watching me like squeeze my balls right now, and they can't do a thing about it. And I still have to live like 60 years, and that's like I'm gonna beat the monkey 60 years, and they're gonna have to watch it, and that's only when they get to question me, and only then am I going to be embarrassed.
That just reminded, like that for some reason you saying that reminded me. I used to jerk off in the weirdest positions because I thought it would feel different. I remember the weirdest one I ever tried is I threw my right leg over the computer I was jerking off to, and I was just jerking off like into the computer, like with my penis head touching the computer. It looked like it was like I was basically like a pair of scissors that were open but only on one side. It like
No,
over the
no, I
computer.
get,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. You were
And I,
like doing lunges to the computer, and like squat thrusting, fucking your computers. It's
yeah.
kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, I was really into it, and I was like, yeah, you like that, you like that. But I made sure to like get my foot off there before I came. 'Cause I didn't want to fucking blast my computer. That'd be a really disgusting trip to Best Buy. Sorry, we don't cover ejaculation damage. Quite some power you got there, though. Oh, you tried the old rusty snowman. Yeah, you got to stay at least 2 inches back when you do that maneuver.
We can offer you the new Retina screen to come
We can offer you this.
safe.
We can offer you this gel screen so you don't break the glass.
All of that stuff really doesn't work. Like you Google ways to jack off like more fun because it just gets boring. But uh, it doesn't work. That stupid trick of use your other hand. It will feel like a clumsy stranger. Why would I want a clumsy stranger to jack me off?
Yeah,
I
no, it's
myself,
stupid.
I'm 25 years old. I've trained my left hand for 25 years. I've specialized it. Its entire purpose is sometimes to pick my nose and jack me off. It's a specialist. It's a jack-off assassin trained and raised for this one purpose. And even that hand has a difficult time sometimes. Why would I use my right hand? Why would I want something so clumsy? That's stupid.
It is
That's like
dumb.
saying, hey, let us animate this snowman so he can jack you off. Why? No. But a stupid, just all these dumb techniques, it doesn't work. I cannot for shit jack off with my right hand, even though I'm a righty.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
I think I told you.
Yeah, you told me about that one.
We talk about dicks behind the scenes too, guys.
It's not just on stream. We're always talking about things. It's sad.
That's a secret, like, club language.
Yeah. I wonder
So
if the,
communicate.
I wonder if my upstairs neighbors have heard every story so far. I hope they
I
have.
hope so.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
My choking of the chicken. One of the times it just didn't go the way I planned. Like I ejaculated before I even started jerking off. I don't even know how it happened, but it happened, and I panicked. I was like, "This wasn't part of the plan. This wasn't in the blueprints." And I immediately just started crying. And then I went to my parents, like, what obviously is still with cum trousers. I was really young with this one, and they were like, "What's wrong?" And visibly taking steps away from me because you can smell cum. Like it's got quite a whiff to it. It's quite the Methodist. And I was like, I came without touching my pee pee. And they're like, it's okay, it happens. But I
Oh,
was so upset about it, and I was crying for the whole night about it. And I was like, now I have to wait until I can make cum again. I have to wait. I have to wait. Make sure it's normal. What if it's not normal? What if I'm just gonna start coming randomly now when I get boners? I can't do this. I can't handle it. I need to wait now. And I was just panicking and just going nuts. And,
uh,
ugh, it was so uncomfortable.
it's just so fascinating to me. I wish I could do it, but instead I have to like really beat it hard, like I'm trying to squeeze the juice out of a potato. Just really, I cannot do. I don't know how they do it.
I also one time got it in my head that it'd be really, really sexy if I started peeing before I came. that backfired immediately because once I got to the point where I was like ready to ejaculate and I put that on standby to urinate, I just pissed my pants and all over my carpet. And I was like, oh fuck, abort mission, abort mission. And then I just like ran to my bathroom while still pissing my pants.
There,
But by the time I reached the toilet, like I had already had my vinegar strokes, so then I started coming. It was such a fucking mess.
I mean the
Like I was a fucking well-oiled machine back in my prime jerk off days. Now I'm just standard stuff, but back then,
yeah,
man, that was wacky.
yeah, mommy's proud years. It's just when you're child, like those cum stains and skid marks.
Yeah,
He's growing up.
he's just like his father. I'm surprised there wasn't bumper stickers on our car. My son jerks off a lot and he does it great.
Yeah,
Proud parent.
God.
I used to bring other objects into the equation too sometimes to see what would stick. Like I just take whatever was around my room. Like one time my dog's squeaky toy was in there and I was like, you know what, this could be cool. So as I was jerking off, I was squeaking the toy in the other hand. It was, needless to say, it wasn't as hot as it was in my head. Man, I really could go on for days about the dumb shit I used to do. Wow. All about my penis. My penis has been through so much.
Yeah, mine too.
Well, yours seems at least standard.
But
Mine was just weird. I confused it. It's like, you know how in exercising they say confuse your muscles? My penis was beyond confused for X amount of years.
my friend made me giggle once when he told me that he beat it so often his dick was calloused, like on one side. You ever jack off in a hot shower?
Yeah, oh,
Because
oh
it's
yeah.
really difficult.
Yeah. It gets really
Because
dry.
no, not that, but I was in this hotel room once when me and my mom were staying someplace, and I was younger. So uh, for some reason, that like the water was just super hot, and I was super into it. Like I like hot showers, and it was super steamy, and I just started jacking off, and I just couldn't come. But I got a fucking grudge. Like that was my fucking Moby Dick. I was gonna come. I was not gonna leave the shower, and it went on for so fucking long that I started to get dizzy because it was just so hot and so steamy, and just my blood pressure just plummeted. Because my heart rate was just going up because I was still trying to jack it with like 2 grams of oxygen left in the fucking shower room. So I got out super dizzy. I was about to collapse on the floor. I just had to sit down. And my mom, of course, she didn't know what the fuck was up. She just thought I was taking a shower, and now I'm about to like puke and collapse on the floor. So she took me to a doctor. And so we're sitting in front of the doctor, and the doctor's asking me like, "Have you been physically exerting yourself?" And now I understand what she meant, but at the time I said no. So she said, stuff like that can happen sometimes. Just keep an eye on it or something like that. I'm sure she like knew what was up. I bet I wasn't the first guy I was about to pass out because he jacked off in a hot, steamy shower.
I was just taking a shower. I can only imagine from your mom's perspective what the fuck happened in there.
Yeah, no, she was just genuinely concerned.
Yeah.
I guess I would be the opposite parent, where if my son told me he was like about to faint after he came out of the shower, I'd be like, yeah, right. You fucking asshole, just get to your room and finish jacking off there. And then 2 hours later, I just find him on his bed with a fucking heart attack because it was an actual condition, but I didn't believe him. I thought he was just lying. I did this when I was a child. I didn't know he had an actual heart condition. Then I'll feel guilty about myself, and
Yeah.
I'll never be able to jack off in the shower again.
Yeah,
The
you'd ruin that
PTSD
one.
flashbacks to my son. Oh, this isn't funny. My son died like this. On the spot, he was looking at this very drain as he was jacking it.
My son used to love to jerk off in here. Fucking 2 hour stream all about our disgusting stories of our wieners. I love it. I wouldn't have it
Yeah,
any
it's
other way.
awesome because I wonder what Pinar would think of me if she listened to any of this. And nothing like this has ever come up.
I'm gonna send it to her one day. Just catch her roll off guard. Here's Kaya behind the scenes. The
Yeah,
face he doesn't want you to see.
yeah, you do that, Charlie.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Don't worry.
I don't worry. I get that. I don't know. Okay. I kind of just want to send it to her just to whet our friendship, just to just test, just to test it. Like, is it strong enough? Like, can she handle me at my worst? Does she deserve me at my best?
Can she handle me at my flaccidest? Does she deserve me at my hardest?
Yeah, like if I'm disgusting to her just because I jack off, does she even deserve me when I am lucid and not horny? I should send this video to everyone I meet. Like, hey, Ashley, like you and me have been getting close, but here's a video I want you to watch, and it's just 5 hours of me discussing my erections, and it's really important to me that you watch this and then give me an opinion.
If get into online dating and make it like mandatory viewing for all of the matches. Hello there, future potential wife or breeding mate. Here is 4 hours of all of my jack-off stories and my flaws. I expect you to listen to all of it. There will be a test once we begin conversation. Enjoy.
Like chapter X is like, I talk about trying to suck my own dick at 4 minutes and 16 seconds.
Yeah, timestamps.
Yeah.
Fucking chapters. Chapter 1, The Awakening.
Yeah. Put stars next to the most important ones.
Yeah.
Cubicle.
Yeah, just tell the boss. Just tell the boss to his face, remind him, be like, sir, I do jack off. I tried a jerk off stance. I actually gave it a nickname. I called it the grandfather clock, and I spread my legs as far as I could get them, like well past shoulder width, and I just let my cock dangle, and I jerked off while like slowly swinging forward, so that way it would go forward and back like a pendulum. That was kind of cool. I had a bunch of different stances I would take just to try it out to see if it felt any different or any cooler. I don't think I've ever shared a story about myself so embarrassing that it changes the way you look at me. I've shared a lot of embarrassing stories with girls and shit that I've had in the past, but nothing that's so goddamn game-changingly cringe-inducing that you vomit and think less of me until today. I was trying to think of a story that I wanted to talk about because I wanted to tell a really embarrassing one today, but I wanted to like amp this shit up to like the highest fucking level I could. So I was going to my past, of which there's a myriad of embarrassing stories to choose, but I wanted to find the perfect one. And then I remembered something that made me sick to my goddamn stomach, so I can't wait to share it with all of you. So to preface this happened in high school. The year is 2011. This was right after my third lung collapse. If you've been following me for a while, you know my lung collapsed 3 times, and the last time it happened was 2011. Well, in 2011, I got surgery to have it fixed, and before I went into surgery, there was a girl I had a crush on that had just added me back on Facebook, and I decided I'd send her like this goddamn scholarly "oorah, I love you" message to her, and we had never spoken. So this girl and I never spoke once in our lives, not even by accident. If I farted somewhere in school, there's no way she would ever fucking smell it because we were never even close to each other in any sense of the word. The only reason we even knew about each other, or rather the only reason I knew about her, was because she was a cheerleader and I played basketball. Other than that, no communication, literally not even eye contact. And yet for some reason, in 2011, I sent this girl the most disgustingly embarrassing messages when I was in the hospital. I haven't read them. I screenshotted them today, and I sent them to myself so I could read them to you today, and we can experience this together as a lesson in how not to ever approach a woman in any way. So allow me, please. Pickup artist legend Charlie is going to guide you through the how-don'ts, the do-nots of women. So let's go ahead and get into these messages here. So ace pussy slaying god Charles in 2011 leads with, I know you and I have never talked, but I just wanted to tell you that you are one of the most beautiful girls I have ever seen. Now, some of you might hear that and think I came on a little too strong. Looking back on it now, hindsight's 2020, I don't think I came on strong enough. I should have led with I love you. Signed, Charles, and then like a little kiss, and then, maybe go from there. So after I said this, she responds with a simple question mark. Nothing else, just one character, a question mark. I was already in the hospital, but if I wasn't, that right there would have sent me to the hospital with fucking cardiac arrest. That shit hurt so goddamn bad at the time.
But I mean, what can you expect when someone leads with some shit like this? This is the kind of shit you see on Twitter with like a bad English associated with it, with a sin bobs and bitch lasagna, please. Vagina look good with penis and stuff like that. It's a creepy message. Any girl should respond with a question mark or nothing at all. But anyway, my spirits weren't deterred. I continued. Yeah, I'm in the hospital and just said fuck it. It's worth a try. You probably don't think the same. You probably don't think the same about me, but I just wanted to say that. That's some R nice guy shit right there. Jesus Christ. Well, this is pretty fucking bad. Let's keep going. To that she says, oh, I'm sorry, frowny face, but thanks, I guess. Why are you in the hospital? I'm surprised she even believed I was in the hospital, to be honest. You got a fucking stranger coming at you, pretending like he's going off to war and sending a love letter out there like it's some goddamn type of anime. If someone sent me shit like this, I'd be like, yeah, sure, buddy. I'm sure you're in the hospital. What do you have? Small dick syndrome going on? There's no cure. Get out of my DMs. I have recurrent pneumothorax in my left lung. It has collapsed 3 times, and tomorrow I have surgery to repair it. Sad violins playing, I'm sure, when I was typing this. I just wanted to tell you that before I had the surgery. I know that it is... Excuse me, I've got to scroll to the next one. It's a little out of order. 2019 Charlie clearly doesn't know how to fucking screenshot things in order. Here we go. I know that it is a weird way to start a conversation. I also know that I came on way too strong telling you that. Self-awareness, key. Key! Even back then I had it. Even back then I'm like, Jesus, I'm sounding really fucking weird, but I'm still going for it. Didn't stop me. Should have stopped me, to be honest. Yeah, that's the lesson to take away here. Don't do this. You know, at this, when you're starting to recognize like, holy shit, this is too strong and I'm being very weird, just stop. Then she says something very odd. On behalf of all the YouTube comments, Charles, I hope you cut your hair. I'm not cutting my hair. She didn't say that. I'm just telling you, stop telling me to fucking cut my hair. I want to see what it looks like real long. I want to look like a goddamn lead singer in a mid-2000s emo band. Just let me fucking have this, alright? So anyway, she asked about the surgery and shit. Nothing to talk about there. But then, as we're starting to wrap up, I say, just wondering, do you know who I am? If you don't, I bet this is the most fucked up conversation you've ever been a part of. I mean, yeah, that's definitely a fucked up way of going about things, past Charles. Jesus Christ. I sound like some type of spoiled rich kid. Do you know who my father is? He invented Bing. I'm a big deal. Please, please love me, please. God damn it. I'm in a hospital. For God's sakes, do you know who I am? God, these are such embarrassing messages. She says, haha, no, I do know who you are. Like, I've seen you, but that's it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that sounds about right. I was a very odd guy. Odd looking, too. I had this really weird my hair looks like shit now, but back then I had an even weirder hairstyle where I shaved all, like, the side, the back, and the top of my head. Like, it was a one with the clippers, but the front was about as long as it is now. So everything was pretty shaven except the bangs. So yeah, I was a fucking lunatic. It'd be hard to forget it'd be hard not to see me and make fun of me. I was one step shy of like a trench coat fedora wearing fucking loser in high school. I really was. So yeah, it makes sense that she at least remembered what I looked like, because I looked like a goddamn fucking psychopath. So to that I said, oh, sorry. I bet this is weird for you, huh? The only way to make things like this not weird is to keep saying, yeah, this is probably weird, right? That way it's, it takes the tension off. It's like, oh, he's saying it's weird. It can't be weird if he keeps talking about how weird it is. All right, it makes sense. Like, pretty much every fucking line I say in here is about how weird it is, and yet I keep going. To that she says, I don't mind at all. So then in closing, this is my finisher. This is my Mortal Kombat fatality, my big grand finale here. All right, cool. Maybe when I get out of here, we can talk more so I can get to know you a little better. I'm not as weird as this conversation makes me seem. You know. Little pro tip to the ladies: don't take someone up on that offer. They most likely are pretty fucking socially inept. I certainly was, 100%. We never talked after this. I can't imagine why, but we never spoke or anything. Nothing ever came of this, unsurprisingly. However, I'm sure if we did, I would have been still just as socially inept talking in person as I was on the Facebook Messenger. So the lesson, ladies and gentlemen, don't be weird. That's always the advice I give to someone going into college and shit. Just don't be weird. Don't be super forward. Don't be super out there. Just be normal conversations. Let things, simmer, develop, sniff things out. Don't just come in there, guns blazing, fucking jerking off. I love you. Do you love me? Like, come on. Come on, 2011 Charlie. I look back on shit like this and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I never recognized how bad I was until, like, you know, you get older. So, you know, it's a pretty embarrassing story. Maybe it's not as embarrassing for listening to it, but for me, recollecting on this, it's fucking bad, man. Like, Jesus Christ. That girl was probably scared for her fucking life, thinking I'd be tossing pebbles at her window late at night at like 2 a.m. Hey, did you think about me in the hospital? I'm alright now. You want to talk? Shit, man. Well, that's the end of the story. Another nice tale for the compendium of awful interactions I've had with women, all of which being my fault from my past. So, yeah, fuck yeah. That's it. See ya.
Porn, the great uniter. The one force that ties strangers to strangers in a way they don't even realize. The one thing every human being has in common, the love of porn, the art of porn, the ethereal beauty of the craft. Now, as the title of the video suggests, I used to watch the same porn video for the better part of 2 years, perhaps a little longer than 2 years, but I'm going to say 2 years just to err on the side of caution. I've made it no secret that I refuse to get a haircut at the moment, and that I also used to have very bad OCD. Not your generic, watered-down, bullshit, meaningless version of OCD where you move your car keys from the counter to the drawer because you don't like them on the counter. That's not fucking OCD, you goddamn bigot. Don't you hijack what OCD actually means. I had literal OCD, and one of my rituals was watching the exact same lesbian porn video for the better part of 2 years. And I want to tell you what happened as a result of doing that. Now, let's go ahead and start. The video was called Nice Pair of Lesbians. Let's take a moment of silence to remember that beautiful video from redtube.com. It is no longer on redtube.com. Okay, thank you for participating. The video still exists. I know, I get emails all the time like, hey, I found that lesbian porn that you used to jerk off to, you know, that used to haunt your fucking boners. Here it is. Yes, I know it's still on the internet, but in like 240 and 360p. On RedTube, it used to be 480. 480p or higher does not exist anywhere on the internet anymore. Trust me, I have looked. But that's besides the point. That's just to give you the context of what the video is. Maybe someone else out there used to also have OCD and jerk off to this video for 2 years straight. And if so, you're not alone, my brother, or my sister. You and I now share a cosmic bond, a bond stronger than the bond between a mother and her child. I love you. Now, it wasn't just watching this lesbian porno. I had an entire routine for it, like a choreographed dance routine for jerking off to this video. And I know I've talked about a little of this on the podcast before, but I still get emails asking me to talk more about that porno that I jerked off to for 2 years. So I figured I'd talk more about it. I also get emails asking me what's my Twitch account, and I'm glad you asked. It's twitch.tv/moistcritical. Go drop a follow, subscribe. Love to see you over there. I stream daily. Twitch.tv/moistcritical. Fuck yeah. But anyway, so this routine that I came up with, well, not that I came up with, that I kind of fucking cursed myself with and burdened myself with at the time. I would make certain facial expressions during certain points in the video. I would say certain things to the actresses in the video, and make no mistake, you goddamn delusional incels, the porn actresses are just that, they're actresses. They have a script of certain moves they're going to do. It's not like they're just fingering themselves and ass blasting their assholes with their fists for your enjoyment alone. It is a job, and they are actresses. Get it through your fucking skull. But anyway, I would say things to them like, oh, you're so hot, that's so sexy, I'm touching my dick to you. As if they could hear me, and as if I was communicating to them directly as like the director of this video. It was a really weird routine, it really was. To kind of give you a brief oversight of all of it, I'm not going to walk you through every step that I would do here. In fact, I don't even remember all of them anymore. But before I would watch the video, I would queue it up and let it all buffer and load, because this was a long time ago. I'm fucking using RedTube, so obviously it's a long time ago. And while it was buffering and loading, I would turn around from the video, so that way I couldn't see them, and they couldn't see me, obviously. And I would look at my penis until it was completely flaccid, entirely soft. So that way I was coming in there with like a clean canvas, and they were going to 100% get me from 0 to hero. So once I was certain that my dick was super soft, I would then sit down and get ready for the action. As it would start, I would say hello to the girls, and I'd compliment them on their beauty. The video started with a girl fingering herself, and I would compliment her on how great she was doing, and then the other girl joined in, and then I'd say hi to her, like, oh, hey, you just stopping by? Shit like that. It was really fucking weird. And honestly, I hope the NSA was watching during those times, because I would love to see those documents. I'd love to see that film. I think that shit would make for a really incredible case study on OCD, because that shit was goofy as fuck. And I would love to remember exactly all the shit that I would say. I don't necessarily want to see underage me jerking himself off into the webcam or anything. I could skip that part. But I at least want to see what I was saying to the girls during the video. But that's kind of how it went. Facial expressions, words and things I would say to the girls. It was always the same. I had to make sure I said the same things to the girls. I had to make sure I made the same facial expressions. I even made sure to keep track of licking my lips. I had certain time marks where I felt I needed to lick my lips at those times, otherwise I was disrespecting them. It was very weird. Now, I did this for, like I said, the better part of 2 years, and honestly probably a little bit more, but we'll say 2 years, and I didn't deviate from that video. I didn't venture out. That was my home. I lived in Nice Pair of Lesbians on RedTube, and they took my home away. It's not there anymore. I'd like to remind you all that it's not fucking there. It's a goddamn crime. It's a fucking sin what they've done removing that. But now, to tie it back to the title of the video, I watched the lesbian porn for 2 years. Here's what happened. What happened is I recognized how weird it was, and I started to really combat my OCD, and I started cheating on the porno by watching other videos. I did. I'll come out and say it. I fucking cheated on that porn video and watched other ones. And that's what happened. I stopped being so fucking weird through a lot of effort to try and combat my OCD rituals. I've talked about that in the past, so I'm not going to get into how I did that or the steps I took. But that's the result of watching porn for 2 years. You feel like a fucking degenerate loser, and then eventually you stop, hopefully, if you try hard enough. But anyway, that's the story for today. Thank you all. See ya. This is where you and I can start to bond and give each other's medals. Because when I was growing up, I would have, they're called nocturnal emissions as a scientific term. I went to a doctor because it got out of control.
Oh,
And,
are you kidding me? So you did, you were at the level beyond.
He was a medical marvel.
I was wet dreaming do you know those lucid dream losers that'll like jack into the lucid dreams like once every couple of hours? I was that with wet dreaming. I still have residual effects. I'll still have wet dreams occasionally, just with the most this nonsensical dreams where like I'm flying a plane, and then all of a sudden I come in the plane, then I come in real life. One that always stood out to me and one that I've always been embarrassed about is I was playing with dolls on the bench press bench at my college gym. I was sitting on the bench, so I was rubbing my ass against it while playing with the dolls like I was swiping a credit card, and I ejaculated.
What the fuck? Jesus. You sound like sexually repressed or something.
Yeah, maybe you've always wanted to be a cash register.
Jesus. Sounds like something out of a horror thriller like Buffalo Bill.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one.
Yeah, I appreciate these these stories because now I feel much more comfortable.
You're among friends.
There is no shame here. There is no shame on this show, James.
Nonsensical dream. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. Oftentimes I'll come up with an idea for a video that I just have no way of making, and since I can't make it, I usually just forget about it, and that's kind of wasteful. So I figured I'd at least start telling you video ideas that I've had that I can't make, so that way maybe someone out there can bring my baby to life, wake it up inside, and at least say, you know, this idea came from this genius. Or at least, if I just get the idea out there, you all can at least see the incredible ideas that I've cooked up that really could be game changers. You could all look at me and be like, holy shit, this man is on the same level as the Wright brothers. That video idea is truly something else. So, I'll just start with one I had last night. Last night my girlfriend was talking to me and asked if I could grunt during sex sometimes, and that's just not how I roll. That's not how I do things. That's not how I operate my business here. I'm not fucking Tim the Toolman Taylor. I don't grunt. I'm not a caveman. So I just said, you know, that's going to be very goofy if I grunt during sex. It's not going to be hot or anything. It's just going to sound like some type of angry dinosaur. And she understood, but I tried to, you know, meet her halfway. I said, I won't grunt during sex, but I'll give you my Mass Effect review while we fuck. Would that work? Because I just finished Mass Effect Andromeda, and a lot of things were floating around in my noggin, things I liked and didn't like about the game. And then it hit me, wait a minute. What if there was a porn genre dedicated to video game reviews? Genius, right? So, like, you could have a man fucking the girl, and he's just giving his review, you know, The gameplay, it was solid. Combat was good. Spanks her. Ooh! The characters were pretty poorly written and the facial animations were fucking abysmal. Then the girl could turn over. Oh, but what about the story? You know, the story was kind of familiar, but it wasn't bad. It just didn't really catch my attention that much. Then after going through all of the elements of any good video game review, the man's getting his vinegar strokes and he's about to blow his load, so he starts to wrap it up quickly. Overall, I'd say 5 out of 10. And then poof, blows his load, but not on the girl. On the video game itself, an actual physical copy. Roll credits. I'd also think it'd be cool if the girl played it as well and gave a second opinion on the game during the porno. I think that would be a really, really good idea. Now, unfortunately, this is a video I can't make myself because I don't know how to make a porno. I don't have any handheld cameras or anything like that, or any high-tech cameras or lighting equipment. I also wouldn't be able to post it on YouTube, so then that got me thinking, well, what if I hired 2 porn stars to just read a script I gave them? Then I could just post that bad boy on Pornhub. But then I realized how difficult that was going to be and how expensive that was going to be, and that turned me off as well. So yeah, this is just a brilliant video idea that I just couldn't capitalize on. But for all the porn directors that watch my videos, you know, you can get in contact with me and we can try and set this up and make this a reality. This could be the next big step for humanity. First it was going to the moon, then it was the internet, next it could be porn video game reviews. So yeah, that's it. So yeah.
Many of you already know this, but magic tricks were a very big part of my childhood and even into my adult elite gamer years in college. I was dabbling in magic tricks. In fact, the very first video I ever posted on YouTube was of myself performing a magic trick, but I've since deleted it. YouTube still has it, and I guarantee they're still trying to crack the code on how I performed it. Luckily, I deleted it though, because otherwise Randy Pitchford would have dedicated his life to figuring out how I solved that and just abandoned the Borderlands series. Fucking Randy Pitchford spent a year trying to figure out how a cam girl squirted so much. Imagine what he would have done if he saw my magic trick. The point I'm making is, magic was a huge part of me growing up. And today, I'm going to reveal to you a secret I invented myself to try and get laid in college. And this shit works like a charm. It's almost impossible not to work. You don't even need to be around women for it to work. If you just perform the trick in your own little isolation chamber, women will probably flock to you somehow, fucking rappelling down into your window. It's a very powerful magic trick, and I'm going to break the magician's code and teach you how I do it. I'm going to fucking full throttle sin, raw and no rubber. Magicians are going to hate me. Chris Angel's going to have a wet nightmare. David Blaine's going to throw in the towel and retire tomorrow, I bet. I actually taught people how to do this magic trick on my streams at twitch.tv/moistcritical, and people haven't been able to stop getting laid. It's almost been a curse. Every time they do the trick, it's just so much pussy. So I'm going to now take the lesson I taught on stream and teach it to all of you over here on YouTube, and just hope that you can use it for good instead of evil. Now, there's an up-and-coming magician named Jerry Presley who actually performed this trick as he heard me explain it on stream. Performed it for these 2 women here, one of them looking like Alinity, might actually be Alinity, there's no telling, and he performs it very well and hopefully got a threesome out of it. Now, let's go ahead and get into it. First, you're going to need a deck of playing cards. They don't need to be as cool as mine, but these are my old bicycle ghosts, as they were called. Back in like 2009, 2010, there was like a really cool looking Alpha Chad magician who was like flourishing these cards one time on YouTube, and I asked my parents to buy them for me, and I got them for like Christmas or something. But you don't need to be this cool, is what I'm saying. You can just use any old piece of shit deck of cards you want. You can use Yu-Gi-Oh cards if you wanted to. Now let me give you an overview of the trick. The objective is to get a phone number, man, woman, police officer, it doesn't really matter who, but it was to get an excuse to ask for the phone number. You don't need an excuse to ask for a phone number, but when you're a fucking 19-year-old college student who's pretending to be a mysterious anime character, it helps to have a fucking excuse, because you're just a fucking weirdo. But anyway, what I'm saying is, it's to get the phone number. So I'm going to perform it, kind of, for you guys here. So I'd say, hey, ma'am, I like those milkers on you. Those honkers mean business. Can I have your phone number for the sake of this magic trick with my ghost cards? And she'd be like, oh my god, are those real ghost cards? Jesus, I'm already wet, but yeah, show me the trick. So she gives me her phone number. I now send her a text with what card she is going to pull from this deck. And I'm going to give her a free choice of it, but she can't look at that text message till it's over. So I say, hey, you can't look at that, but just wait till after the trick and it's going to blow your asshole wide open. It's going to be the coolest goddamn thing you've ever seen in your life. So, you know, it's just small talk a little bit, and then I get to the trick. I just ask her to cut the deck, or I can flip through the deck. It doesn't really matter. But the deck ends up getting cut in 2 like this. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't really matter. And then I go ahead and put it on top of it so that there's no trickery here. and then I let her take the card off the top because this is where she cut, and she takes the card, and it's the 7 of clubs. Okay? And I've texted her that already way before the trick even happened. So now the question is, how did I know that? Am I truly just the messiah of magic? The mind freak of madness? The torpedo of trickery? No, I'm something more. I'm a gamer. So my trick is literally one move and then just distracting the person. A single card force. Every card trick ever done pretty much uses a card force. What's a card force? It's exactly what the name implies. You're forcing someone to pick the card you know. The easiest one, the one I always used, was you'd close your eyes, you'd rifle through the deck of cards, someone would tell you stop right there, and you always know their card. That's the 4 of spades. It doesn't matter when you're doing it, it doesn't matter how many times you do it, you can just endlessly do this shit for as long as you want, because you're forcing the cards. Stop. Oh, Jesus. Stop. 6 of clubs. You can always know exactly what card you're forcing on someone. How does that one work? You know the bottom card. So when you rifle through, they say stop, you're pulling the bottom card off, well, as long as you have a good grip, and you're always going to know exactly what you're giving them. I invented my own card force, though, and it's even easier. And I swear to God, I should have gotten a Nobel Prize for this discovery. This shit is almost as important as discovering gravity. This card force is a game changer in Magic. So all you need to know is the top card, 2 of diamonds. That's the top card, and that's the card they're going to pick 100% of the time in this trick. So you text them 2 of diamonds once you get the number, because that's 100% what they're going to pick. And now, all it is a matter of distracting the person you're doing the trick to. So you have them cut the deck if they want to themselves and make another pile of it. They can ask you to, if they want you to cut it, you can cut it wherever you want. It doesn't matter where the deck gets cut. So let's just say for this time it got cut right down the middle. So now you have these 2 piles. They now give you these 2 piles, and now you start making small talk and moving your hands around. Sports, porn. Then you take this part, which is where they actually cut. This is what their card should be. But now you've distracted them enough, you've wooed them over enough where you put this on top, and then you set the whole pile down so that way they have the illusion that you're not messing with anything. You know, oh, my hands are over here, I can't do anything now, nothing crazy going on. And then you tell them that this card is where they cut, and hopefully they don't realize that it should be this one. So then you take this piece off, you have them take their top card, and of course it's the 2 of diamonds, because, I mean, it's just the fucking top card, but they don't know that. They think this is where they cut when they had free choice. But it's not, because you have outsmarted them. You are the intellectual of the group. You're the enlightened Reddit atheist of this shindig. Again, I'll demonstrate. Top card, 6 of hearts. You say, hey, listen, lady, cut this shit. I've already sent you a text. I know what you're pulling. They cut it. Bang. You get 2 piles. You're distracting them. Bang. Put that shit on top. Take your hands off. Tell them that's the card. They pick the card. 6 of hearts again. It's incredible how simple it is, and yet nobody ever figured it out. Ever. And no one could figure it out unless I told them. Because this trick is beyond intelligence. This has transcended magic tricks and become a cult movement in and of itself. It is fucking phenomenal. So please, ladies and gentlemen, after having revealed this remarkable secret, a top secret government secret, please use it responsibly. And when you use it, make sure you tell them it came from me. And then you link them to my Twitch channel and my YouTube and stuff. You give me credit for this discovery, this trick, because it's fucking huge. I'm unironically proud of that trick. I actually did get a few numbers with it. I never did fuck all with the numbers, but just the fact that it even got to that point and they could at least fake excitement and wonder from the magic is enough for me. And maybe it will be for you too. Maybe this will launch your social life or destroy it, one or the other. But yeah, that's about it. That's my big magic trick that I invented. So yeah. It's been a little while since I told the story, so I figured it was about time that I sit you all down by the campfire and put some fear in your boners. I'm going to tell you a really recent story, something that I think everyone can take a lesson away from and use it in their everyday lives. So before I really dig into the meat of this, I want to preface this by saying I have not pissed my pants in a very long time. Now that that's off the table, let's get into what the story is about. As you've probably surmised from that intro, it's about pee-peeing in the pants. It's about a time where I flirted with that devil. And this all takes place in the mythical year of 2019 AD on October 4th. It was literally 6 days ago as of recording this video. It was right before going to happy hour, and if you watch my streams at twitch.tv/moistcritical, you know that the streams are fucking bangers, and that I also pee a lot. I drink a lot of water, which means I'm constantly expelling a lot of urine from my body at jet stream-like pace.
I really fucking pressure wash my toilet when I get in there to do that business. So if urinating is considered a game of chess, then I'm the goddamn grandmaster. Now, this was right before going to happy hour. I had just gotten all dressed up and spruced up, ready for action, and we needed to pick my friends up before going to the bars we were going to. But before going, I had the little inkling of a pee-pee coming on. It was still brewing, but it hadn't matured yet. So I figured there really wasn't any point to doing that. The bars weren't far, my friends weren't far. I'd just hold it till I got there and then just do my business out there in public. Just kind of to assert my dominance, like, hey, I'm not afraid to mark a urinal with my seal of approval. I'm not afraid to stamp this with my penis juice. So I just wanted to wait. I didn't see the point in going before heading over. That being said, on the journey to my friend's place, it was still very tame, very manageable, barely even noticed it. Got to my friend's place, didn't notice it. The second they got in my car, it's like they unleashed the piss demon. All of a sudden, all at once, it hit me like a fucking brick. Like a train had left the station, a bullet train, and it was hitting my bladder. There was no putting this genie back in the bottle. I was going to tinkle, it was just a matter of where. In my nice trousers, in a dirty bathroom somewhere on the way, or on the side of the road. The last two options weren't exactly options because to get to the bar you had to go over this pretty long bridge and there was no way I was going to be able to hold it through the duration of the bridge, so I'd be just trapped like a prisoner in its cell in the car just urinating all over my friends, or I'd have to hold it and literally cork my cock and I'd probably fucking drown internally with urine pouring out of my mouth like I just swallowed a cyanide capsule of urine. It was just a nightmarish situation because I really had to go. So I informed Tiana, who was now driving, and I told my friends, look, I'm sorry to be an inconvenience, but we got to pull over somewhere to go to the bathroom because I'm going to literally ruin our happy hour and turn it into the not so happy hour by coating this entire car in piss. So they understood, but the problem was there really wasn't anywhere to stop. There was no real gas stations on the way to the bridge, so we'd have to go out of our way to find one for me, and my friends didn't really want to do that, so they're trying to encourage me to just go piss somewhere next to a dumpster around some of the dilapidated buildings, because the area on the way to the bar looks like it's been hit by a nuclear missile, but I didn't want to take that chance. Because a friend of mine got put on the sex offenders registry for public urination. He got caught while peeing next to a building or on the side of a building. And I just didn't want to roll those dice at all. I bet if I had just went down to take a piss by a building, a fucking cop would have popped out of a bush in a ghillie suit and said, gotcha on me. I didn't want to, risk that at all. I'd drop trow for 1 second, just unzip, and all of a sudden a police car fucking drift in sideways, just sirens blaring, and then take me down just for public urination. And then all of a sudden, bang, I'm a sex offender. I just didn't want to risk that at all. I didn't want to take that chance at all, so that was not an option for me. We were going to go out of our way to one of the gas stations that I knew of, and it wasn't that far out of the way, so it wasn't a huge inconvenience, but I still felt bad. Unfortunately, the gas stations were of no help, and also the gas stations look like something straight out of the Fallout universe as well. But the first gas station we go to, everything looks okay. There's a bathroom there, which is a plus. It's one of the bathrooms that's on the outside, so you need a key to get into it. So all confidently, while I'm like basically grabbing my cock, just trying to keep everything where it needs to be before I explode with urine, I go in there waddling in and I say to the guy, hey, look, I've got to use your shitter. Can I get the key to that bad boy? And he's not all there. He sounds like he's one Xanax bar away from just total overdose and collapse. So I couldn't understand most of the words he said, but he kept mumbling about the hot dog man. I didn't know what that meant. I thought he was making like idle conversation. Maybe there was a hot dog vendor outside that he wanted me to go buy from before he gave me the key. I didn't know, so I asked him, what are you talking about? The hot dog man? Who's a hot dog man? I love hot dogs, even though I fucking hate hot dogs. Just anything to get that fucking key. Felt like it was a mission in a video game that I needed to get that key to complete the quest. But so I'm making the small talk, and his answers make no sense to me. He's like, no bathroom, hot dog man. So then I'm starting to connect these dots in my head. Okay, so the hot dog man, no bathroom. Hot dog man must have gone in there and wreaked havoc. He must have just fucking tore that bitch down and lit it on fire with an explosion from his ass or something. So this bathroom is decommissioned is what you're telling me, right? Bathroom is not working because of hot dog man. He just shakes his head, no. Hot dog man. I felt like I was in a goddamn horror movie, as if like the hot dog man was terrorizing this area like the fucking Slender Man. I didn't know what he was talking about with the hot dog man. All I knew was I was not getting that key from him. So I walked out all disappointed because I knew I wasn't getting the key, and it's all because of this menace, the hot dog man, who I'd never even fucking heard of in fairy tales. So I had to waddle back to the car disappointedly, and even in more of a rush, the sense of urgency was overwhelming. Felt like the entire universe was collapsing inside on me. Also, as a As a side, there was no hot dog vendor outside. There wasn't even the remnants of what could have been a hot dog vendor at any point in time. So I don't know who the fuck this hot dog man is. But anyway, we go up another maybe mile up the road where I know another gas station is, and it's just as decrepit as this one. And this one was like a goddamn orgy of weirdos. There was one guy who I am 100% sure was on spice, because he was just fucking fumbling around. Luckily, he had hit just enough spice so he wasn't totally nude and dragging his dick on the floor, but he was at that level of spice where he can't really stand up properly, and he has a football that he's throwing against a wall and hitting himself with in the face off the rebound. So that's the kind of place we were at looking for this bathroom, and I knew it was going to be gross, and I'm a bit of a germaphobe, but I was throwing that aside because I needed to be strong, because I didn't want to piss myself, because I hadn't pissed myself in at least a long time. I don't know, I was trying to think of like an exact time I pissed myself, but it's been a long fucking time. I have a pretty clean streak there, and I wasn't about to have that collapse on this night. So we get to this disgusting gas station, and it's another one where the bathroom's on the outside, so I need to go in to get the keys. There's a guy in there playing the lottery, and he's taking a long time scratching it off. That's fine, that's not his fault. He doesn't know that I'm about to explode behind him like an IED of urine. So I'm not mad at him at all. He was none the wiser, not his fault or anything. When he's finally done, I go up to the counter, I say, hey man, can I get the keys to that turbo shitter? I gotta go do some business over there. He's super cool about it, gives me the keys, and I'm on my way. The guy who's throwing the football now fixates his eyes on me, and he wants to get me involved in his game. I can tell because while he couldn't really get the words out properly, he was making motions like, I'm gonna hit you with this spiral real quick, Tom Brady style, and I just, I'm putting my hands up like, please, no, thank you, politely, I've got to use the restroom. Finally get around the corner to where the bathrooms are on the side of the place. There's a man asleep on the curb in front of the bathrooms. I don't know if he was passed out or just really tired. Maybe at one point he was the gate guardian of the bathrooms, but now that he found bath salts, now he just sleeps there. I really don't know. But, I go not over him because I was already on the side. I go around him, and then I finally put that key into the bathroom, and a sense of elation and jubilation just fills my whole body as I finally turn it, and I open it, and I'm greeted with the most unholy smell this world has ever concocted. It smelled like a fucking hate crime. It was the most repulsive, revolting smell I've ever smelled in my life, and I've smelled some shit. I've smelled some serious shit, but this was something else. This smelled like the hot dog man had gone there, killed somebody, and then took a shit all over the corpse. And it's really weird because the toilet itself was pristine. The toilet was clean enough to drink out of, eat off of. It was a fantastic looking toilet, not a speck of dirt or poopy in sight. But the bathroom itself was tainted with the remnants of 1,000 angry spirits that were all shitting in unison. It's no doubt the work of the hot dog man. There's not a single doubt in my mind. He must just be like a serial bathroom shitter. Just goes around shitting in all the bathrooms, fucking terrorizing them, ruining them for people that gotta pee like me. But I really don't know. Anyway, the smell was so overwhelming. For just a brief moment, I relaxed my penis sphincter, and a little bit of urine dripped onto my boxers. I don't count that as pissing my pants because it was just enough where it only dribbled out, and I was able to once again voluntarily collapse the muscle so it didn't squeak out anymore as I finally approached the toilet, and I finally released the sweet relief into the toilet, and I finally peed. I couldn't breathe. It was fucking hazardous to my health, no doubt, with all the shit particles floating around in the air, but god damn it, I finally peed. So the lesson to take away from here: just when you feel like even like the smallest amount of pee building inside of you, just piss. It's gonna get worse. You're gonna just need to pee. Don't try and hold it. Don't be a hero like I was, because you might find yourself in a similar situation where you dribble on yourself and you visit a really disgusting smelling bathroom that really just ruins your sense of smell for like a good 2 hours. But anyway, that's the story. The lesson to learn: pee when you feel like you have to, even a little bit. Don't try and hold it, because that is just absolutely devastating and leads to this domino effect of unfortunate circumstances and a lot of stress. That's it. So yeah. I wasn't always this sex god you see before you, the apex of raw sexual energy. In fact, I actually came into this world a virgin. I was born with virginity. My father, he wasn't a virgin, and yet, embarrassingly, I was. And it stayed that way for 19 years, until in the spring break of my 19th year in this plane of existence, it all changed when my wiener nation landed on the shores of a vagina nation. Consensually, of course. It was an invite for the wiener nation to make landfall. At 2013 years after the death of Christ, I had finally lost my virginity. Like a crab shedding its shell, I molted. But what did I do up until that point? Well, I've already shared with you a little bit of my freshman year of college where I pretended to be a mysterious anime character, but this arc doesn't stop there. I used to think it was cool and unique to be a virgin in college. So I used to wear it like a fucking Boy Scouts badge of honor. You know, I would talk about my virginity to any female that made the mistake of listening. It was one of the first things I'd do. I'd basically fucking shake a hand and say, I'm a virgin. You're shaking a virgin's hand, which is probably the grossest hand you could ever shake. Because you know that shit is crusty. If these hands could talk, well, if this hand could talk, the stories it would tell you. So, but anyway, I thought because everyone else wasn't a virgin in college, at least none of my friends were, I was one of the I was the last one to lose their virginity in my group of friends, I thought it'd make me stand out. I thought it'd be like, wow, that guy's a virgin? Holy shit. I didn't even know this existed in this college anymore. Damn, that's exotic. I gotta get in there. It wasn't the case. In fact, it was just super creepy. But I wouldn't listen to my friends. One of my friends sat me down as like a fucking intervention. He was like, Charlie, look, you gotta stop telling people you're a virgin. It's weird and it's not gonna work. But I didn't believe him. I thought he was working with like the Illuminati trying to restrict my power. But today I look back on that and I see he was a fucking saint. He knew what I didn't. How creepy that was. I was like a fucking vegan. I wouldn't shut the fuck up about being a virgin. Like in parties and shit, if I'd been drinking, you know the virginity talk was coming. I was like a parent giving the birds and the bees talk to their children. And God help the poor women that talked to me when I was drunk and talking about virginity, because sometimes I'd talk about it in different accents. Sometimes I'd be an Irish virgin, other times a Russian virgin. I thought it would be something different and cool. And I acted like I was proud of it. You know, I've held on to my virginity this long. Fuck yeah, baby, this one's for Jesus Christ up there. But I wasn't proud of it, and I knew Jesus wasn't proud of my virginity either, nor my attempt to spit the game at the parties by talking about virginity. That was never gonna work. But it didn't stop me. You see, this all took place around the time that I got my main lead acting role in the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. I've already shared that story with you. So when I used to meet these women at parties and shit, I would have this 1-2 combo. Hey, I'm in the Hunger Games, and I'm a virgin. That's a fucking irresistible man right there. That right there is a recipe for an Adonis. And let me tell you what, that didn't help very much. But I used to have the Mockingjay trailer on my phone, and I'd show the trailer if they were unfamiliar and just pretend that I was in it, and I wouldn't go back to show them. I'd just be like, oh, there I am. I was quick, you missed it. I must have tried this combination move 100 times. Like a Japanese bladesmith, I'd keep folding it over, smashing it down, making it sharper, better, refining it, until finally it worked one time. I met a girl at a party, we talked, we made out, exchanged numbers, and we're going to get together for a date. Date comes around and you can already guess the conversational topics. Hey, what's your major? Where are you from? Are you a virgin? No? Why not? I am. Bang. Game over. There's no coming back from that kind of shit. I don't know why the fuck I just felt this compulsive desire to constantly talk about it. It's really not like it was a crowning achievement, and not even to me. I constantly wanted to lose my virginity, and yet I'd constantly hype it up like it was the best part of me. It's just wild shit, and you know, it taught me a hard lesson. That's pretty much when I learned the most important lesson. Stop bragging about virginity. This desire to be unique between being an anime character in college, the fucking mysterious anime character, to being a virgin fucking evangelist constantly preaching the good word of virginity. This desire to be unique really fucked me and hindered me very much in my early formative college years. Also, during this time I had a friend that was a female. I very much liked her. We were friends for like a year. The feelings weren't mutual. I was very into her. She had none of those same feelings for me, but it didn't stop me from telling her that I was saving my virginity for her. How noble. They say chivalry's dead, but yeah, I used to tell her that my virginity is going to be hers for the taking. That had to be the last fucking thing on her Christmas list every goddamn year. It must have been the scariest and most alarming thing someone could tell you like that. And it wasn't just like a 1 or 2 time fluke thing where I mentioned that by accident. No, I told her that shit like all the time. If we texted, it'd be like a lullaby for me. You know, I'm going to bed now. Do you want to kiss my virginity to sleep with your pussy lips? No? Alright, just keep in mind I'm a virgin when you go to sleep tonight. Have dreams about my virginity. It's something I mention frequently because I really thought, in my fucking delusion, that being a virgin and being unique like that was cool and not weird. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe nowadays things have changed and being a virgin's the coolest goddamn thing in the world next to pissing in your pants. But back then it certainly wasn't, and definitely not my approach of mentioning it all the fucking time. I think you could be the coolest man in the world, but if you keep mentioning the same shit over and over again, it's gonna make you look like a fucking weirdo. Actually, let me hit you with a fun trivia fact for when you play Critical Jeopardy with your family. The girl I'm talking about in this story here is actually the reason I kept the beard. You see, for the Hunger Games role I got, they asked that you grow out your facial hair, which I'd never even considered doing before. I'd always been clean-shaven. I looked like an 8th grader in debate club. But when I grew it out for that role, she said it looked good, so I kept it, and I never looked back. And now if I shaved it, I'm sure I'd look like a bag of assholes collided with another bag of assholes. So yeah, I guess gloating about virginity wasn't all bad. But trust me, it was all bad. If there's any lesson to take away here from my experience for all of you watching, it would be, don't use like a defining characteristic and shove it down people's throats. Don't try and force people into thinking you are special or unique. Just be yourself, and if they view you as special or unique, great. If they don't, who gives a shit? The two that come to mind right away are vegan and atheist, where people constantly mention those two things if they're associated with that. At least that's the big meme on the internet, and I've only seen it in real life a couple of times, so I don't know how prevalent that is. But just going around and saying things like, I'm a vegan, I'm an atheist, I'm a virgin, and constantly bringing those things up and calling attention to it just makes people not want to be around you. It's a pretty toxic social environment when you're just constantly talking about what you think makes you unique and special. That would be kind of the takeaway from this virginity bragging story, I'd say. Yeah, that's about it. See ya. Earlier this year, I made that video talking about how Jackson, Danny, Matt, and I were going to be writing a full-fledged porn production for a very well-known company in the industry. It was going to be a very expensive budget from the company, and it was going to be an episodic release. In total, we made a runtime of something that would go right around like 4 hours, so it was basically the fucking Lord of the Rings of porn. And we created an actual masterpiece. If you took all of the porn out of our porno, it would still be an American classic, like a really fucking great movie. But unfortunately, we did all of that before the pandemic hit and shut everything down, fucked everyone in the ass. So they never actually made our porn series. And I thought it'd just be a real waste to let this sacred script go into obscurity and forgotten, lost to the tides of time. So I thought it'd be fun to at least share some of episode 1 with all of you. I don't want to give away any of the big twists or developments in the universe we've created, because who knows, maybe we shop the script around and it lands a home on Amazon Prime as Rian Johnson's Knives Out sequel. So just in case, to err on the side of caution, I'm only going to share with you like the main points in some of the dialogue so you can see where we were going and what we're setting up, but I'm not going to reveal any of the big shit to you. You're just going to have to sit there and salivate waiting to see if this will ever be finished. So, to break it down in a nutshell, it's called The Fucking at Rock Hard Manor. For what it's worth, I thought that title was way too aggressive. It comes out raw, no rubber right away. I just didn't really like the title of it too much, but that I was overruled by the group, so that's the title, The Fucking at Rock Hard Manor. And it is a murder mystery thriller pants filler. So it's basically, basically just think of Knives Out. I think that's a really good example right away. So as you can likely imagine, the story takes place in Rock Hard Manor, where Shock Rockhard has called together his closest friends and business partners to celebrate the creation of the Good Sensation Mark I. The Good Sensation Mark I device was created by none other than the esteemed inventor, Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation. The Good Sensation Mark I is basically a ray gun that cures PTSD. Well, actually, think of it less of a ray gun and more like the microwave emitter from Batman Begins that fucking vaporizes all the water in Gotham. It's that, but it cures PTSD. Now, if I may, I'd like to read you some dialogue from Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation. This is when he's trying to flirt with some of the women attending this celebration. This is unlike anything you've ever seen before, I guarantee it. You don't understand. How could you, though? It's utterly ridiculous to think you could. I myself have been trapped in my lab for 3 years trying to understand it, held hostage by my own hubris, crafted from the finest polymers I could get my hands on thanks to Shock's financing. Ah, yes, such a delicate balance of madness and genius. You know, girls, if I had made even one miscalculation in the creation of this, I may have very well lost my life. And as you can likely imagine, the women were beyond impressed, sought in panties immediately. However, not too long after this interaction, something goes awry, as is standard in murder mysteries.
So Shock Rock Hard is making an announcement, thanking everyone for being there to celebrate this, because he's very happy. Shock Rock Hard, as you well know, he's one of the most decorated veterans in the entire history of the American Armed Forces, and he unfortunately suffers from PTSD, so he had Dr. Zacharias at Good Sensation working on a device to help alleviate his troubles, as well as his other comrades. Shock Rockhard and his wife Tootie Rockhard are at the top of their staircase making this announcement when they ask all the attendees to raise their glass in a toast. However, the lights turn off. A loud, euphoric moan is heard, followed by the sound of a body tumbling down the stairs. It sounds like 10 wet potatoes all getting pushed down a staircase at once. The lights turn back on, and everyone horrified as they see Shock Rockhard's lifeless body at the base of the staircase. Who could have murdered Shock Rockhard? He had no enemies. He was loved by all. The lights were only off for a matter of seconds, and there's no visible wounds on Shock Rockhard's body, other than, of course, a couple of bruises and scrapes from tumbling down the stairs, but not enough to kill a man, and they happened after the moan. A very interesting and peculiar death. Madame Tootie Rockhard goes to check for a pulse. She realizes there's no pulse. He is pronounced dead at the scene. Then, as everyone is grieving, mourning, the doors kick in. They fly open, and smoke pours in, flooding the foyer. A shadowy figure moves through the smoke, and loud gasps and even a scream are heard from the general vicinity of the audience. And as the smoke clears, a grizzled detective emerges. It's Detective Mike Mitchell. Now, before I get into Mike Mitchell, I'd like to tell you where that name comes from. Mike Mitchell is the name of a character a buddy of mine played in a really low-budget piece-of-shit movie. He played a character named Detective Mike Mitchell, so I thought it'd be really cool just kind of to put him in here as an homage to that and keep that legacy of Mike Mitchell alive. So Detective Mike Mitchell comes in, and he immediately takes control of the scene. Mike Mitchell says, "No need to scream, ladies and gentlemen. I've heard it all before." He takes one last puff from his cigar before flicking it off to the side. Mike Mitchell slowly approaches the scene. Madame Tootie Rockhard is still face down on Shock's chest. Mike Mitchell extends his condolences. "You must be the wife of the deceased. You have my sincerest condolences, madame, but right now, you're in my crime scene." Tootie Rockhard replies, "Crime scene? What do you mean?" Mike Mitchell, "It's quite simple, really. I could see it immediately. A fall from such a height would not have killed anyone, but the evidence is on his face. A smile. Why? If he had truly died from falling, there would be no smile. No. He was already dead, madame." It would be at this point the audience is made more aware of Shock Rockhard's face, and they see the biggest smile they've ever... It's at this point the audience gets a very clear view of Shock's face. There is a massive smile on it that looks like a kid on Christmas Day, smiling from ear to ear, looking like a 9-year-old boy that just went to Disney World for the first time. Magic in his eyes, little stars in his eyes. He looks like the happiest motherfucker on the entire goddamn planet. But now that's a bit interesting, isn't it? You see, most people at the Rock Hard Manor that night assumed that he slipped and fell when the lights went off, but if that was the case, why would he be smiling? There'd be panic washing over his face, not a big smile. So it's a very interesting conundrum Mike Mitchell is faced with, a very difficult case he's going to have to crack. Detective Mike Mitchell then arrives at the natural conclusion that this had to have been a murder. The audience then gets to hear the thoughts of Detective Mike Mitchell, one of the greatest minds in all of detective history, putting Sherlock Holmes and L from Death Note to shame. Mike Mitchell thinks to himself, "No signs of distress, and no signs of a struggle apart from the one with gravity. The smile on his face, why? What happiness can be found in death? A minor abrasion on his L4, no doubt from the tumble down the stairs, but from my time in chiropractic school, I know there's no way that was fatal. Though the stairs are made of oak, the strongest wood available on the free market. Why oak?" Mike Mitchell immediately looks up to those kneeling around him, observing him. They seem to be waiting on his every word. Mike notices this and immediately shouts, "Someone fetch me the blueprints for this house right now." The audience confusedly looks around at each other before Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation scratches his neck nervously. Yes, Detective Mike Mitchell, right away," says Dr. Zachariah. Dr. Zachariah Good Sensation then rushes away from the crowd, and Detective Mike Mitchell returns his head towards the body of Shock Rockhard. He puts his ear to the deceased man's stomach, and the voiceover returns. His thorax is nearly shattered and his lips chapped. Circumstantial, possibly, but definitely indicative. But of what? I won't read all of the dialogue here, but Detective Mike Mitchell continues to thoroughly analyze the corpse before he begins to turn his attention to something else he noticed upon this inspection. Dear God, what is that smell? Detective Mike Mitchell then quickly stands up in disgust and covers his nose with his hand. But then he screams as he realizes his hand is covered in semen. Good Lord! It's clear to me now, everyone. This man is not only dead, but he has ejaculated as well. The crowd gasps in shock, and Tootie Rockhard is heard wailing even louder now. Mike Mitchell inspects his hand and starts to try and shake the cum off. Alessandra, the maid, walks up to Mike and wipes his hand with a paper towel. Thanks, hon. Glad you were here to get me out of that sticky situation. As you'll soon learn, Mike Mitchell is a wisecracking one-liner straight out of an old 80s movie. The maid giggles and rushes away to dispose of the paper towel. Mike Mitchell turns to face the crowd. They're all talking amongst themselves and turn their attention back to Mike to give their entire focus. So what's next, detective? If what you say is true and Daddy was indeed murdered, then one of us is at fault here. This was said by his daughter Vanessa Rockhard. Everyone looks uncomfortably at each other. Some individuals move apart and some awkwardly scratch their necks and take calculated sips from their champagne flutes. Detective Mike Mitchell then says that everyone needs to split up and look for clues. I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and I've brushed over a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the other context building all this up with the other characters. I just wanted to give you like the very core elements that happen to set up the events of the fucking at Rockhard Manor. So yeah, why was Shock Rockhard smiling upon his death, and why was he filled with so much cum in his trousers, so much so that it was leaking out into the hand of Detective Mike Mitchell? It truly is one of the best mysteries to ever be posed in fiction, and yeah, it's really about it. Just wanted to share a little from the porn script here. I know there was no sex at all in any of this right here, because that was like the hardest part for us to write, was putting sex in this story. We just focused on like the whole mystery narrative and coming up with good twists and turns and like an actual good world building, and putting sex in it was actually pretty difficult. So we did manage to fit it all in there in ways that make sense, but the main thing here is you will be watching this porn for the plot, because the narrative is a fucking banger, if it ever does get made, which I'm doubtful that it ever will now at this point. But either way, just wanted to share this with you. That's about it. So yeah. 2019 is wrapping up, and I actually wanted to do what every 15-year-old girl on the internet is doing right now, the whole 2010 versus 2020 thing. Because a decade is a long fucking time, and I don't think people realize just how long a decade is. 2 decades ago, I was 5 years old, and I actually couldn't even bust any nuts. I wasn't a high enough level to unlock that power yet. I couldn't ejaculate, and that's only 2 decades. On paper, when you hear 2 decades, or, think about it, it doesn't seem like that long. But in actuality, that's a long time. So I really wanted to deep dive in here and just spread apart the ass cheeks of the decade, show you some things I haven't shown you, talk about things I haven't talked about, just do a full colonoscopy of the decade in review. I will go ahead and get this out of the way right now. I was only able to find a couple old high school pictures of me. I avoided a lot of those during that time from low self-esteem, not to immediately get sad and tug on your fucking nipples or whatever, but I don't have many. I know listeners of the official podcast really want to see the one style that we talk about and make fun of a lot that I went through. I used to have my whole head shaved except for my bangs, so my bangs were like this long and they were sharp as shit. They looked like a studded bracelet of bangs. It looked like poorly drawn anime hair. It was just really sharp bangs that were long. Everything else was shaved. And I really wish I had pictures of that, because I thought it made me look really cool, like a badass, mysterious biker that was up to no good. But in reality, it just made me look like an inbred psychopath. But yeah, anyway, 2010 was the biggest and most important year of my life that really changed my entire life. And I know that cliche gets tossed around all the time, like, 3 years ago I tried Starbucks for the first time and holy shit, my life changed forever. But for me, that statement is 100% true. And 2010, that was the game changer for me. I'd been doing YouTube for about 4 years at that point. I was doing Gears of War stuff, some fucking magic trick things that I'd delete instantly. Then I moved on to gameplay and commentary for like Call of Duty. Then I started doing obscure games, shitty games. And then in 2010, Ray William Johnson picked my video, my QWOP video, to use in one of his, and as the primary video in that showcase. If you don't know who Ray William Johnson is, you're definitely too young to be watching this anyway, or you're very new to the internet, but Ray William Johnson was the biggest channel on YouTube during that time,
And honestly, whether you love him or hate him, he was a pioneer. He was the first person to be able to make a living doing YouTube and internet content creation in general. He was the first internet millionaire totally from YouTube. He pretty much paved the way for people to make a career off internet content. And Ray William Johnson during this time, he was like the fucking Jimmy Fallon of internet content creation. And he picked my video to talk about and, you know, make jokes about and stuff. And he linked it in the description, and my channel blew up. Absolutely fucking exploded. And that really opened my eyes to, you know, what I could do going forward. Because at this point, I was still under the delusion I was going to be going to the NBA. But slowly but surely, I was starting to realize that a man who's 5'6", who is only good at shooting three-pointers, probably doesn't stand a good chance of getting drafted. I was having wet nightmares about not making the fucking Orlando Magic and shit, and not going to a D1 college basketball school as a starter, and, you know, slaying pussy on the regular. I was starting to realize I wasn't going to be a college basketball or NBA superstar. So confusion was coming. I didn't know where I wanted to go, what I was passionate about, other than making videos. And when Ray William Johnson picked that up, it really opened my eyes and my ass to the possibility of what can come from internet content creation. I'd always loved making videos, but I never wanted it to be my job or anything. I always wanted it to be my hobby, and I'm proud to say to this day, I still treat it exactly as I did back then. Purely a hobby that I do for fun. And that really lit a fire in me to keep making things and keep enjoying that, because outside of making videos, I really wasn't very happy. It's not like I was bullied at school or anything. I had friends, but not like actual close friends that we'd go hang out and do stuff with. I was always kind of like the last person people would think to invite, but I was always on good terms with everyone. I just was pretty fucking lonely. I had really rough self-esteem and a self-image that was fucking terrible. I viewed myself like looking like Nosferatu from the SpongeBob episode Flipping the Light Switch. I hated looking in the mirrors, which is why I don't have many photos of myself. I also had really bad acne at the time, so I started taking Accutane. I ended up taking Accutane twice because one wasn't enough, and Accutane's like a fucking nuke for acne. So that shit was pretty hardcore. It was just a rough period outside of making videos, and when this happened, it really just, it inspired me in a way to just, you know, push through the shit that wasn't making videos so I could get home and make some shit, because that's where I was really having fun and really just actually enjoying myself. Now, as promised, I'll show you some old high school photos of me, and this is actually kind of hard for me because this is like the fappening for me. Like, you know, my dick pics, ass pics leaking, whatever, but having my old high school photos come out, it's just kind of really embarrassing for me. But I'll show them here. This is me on prom night. I know, I didn't mean to make you so wet out of nowhere. But yeah, anyway, here's beardless Charlie at a nubile 18 years old. I didn't want facial hair. I always shaved it, never wanted it for even a day. I'd shave pretty much every morning just to get rid of it because I thought it would look bad on me. I was not even happy on prom. You can see I don't look very, you know, like I'm having a good time. I look like I've just watched my dog get hit by a car. But it's just, I didn't know how to smile for photos. I didn't know how to show that I was happy. It was rough, man. And here's a picture of a young Larry Bird at the free throw line. I know, this is the best quality I could find of any basketball photo I had. And it looks like a fucking Sasquatch sighting, if Sasquatch was 5 feet tall. But yeah, eventually I changed my hairstyle, grew out my facial hair, and I've never looked back, that's for sure. In 2011, though, I had the health problem with my lung collapsing a few times. And then I kind of took a break from making things and just kind of wallowed in some self-fucking pity. But then after a few months, I finally came back full throttle, full erection, and I've never looked back. Also, I had found something else I was equally as passionate about, which is helping people. I'm sure some of you remember, but during this time I was donating all of the YouTube money I was making to charities. I did that for the better part of 5 years, and I really thought that that was going to be making a difference and helping people. And then, I've talked about this before, but I soon came to find out a lot of the charities, almost all of them that I was donating to, were fucking horrible charities, and the only person I was helping was that fucking corrupt asshole at the top of that food chain. So I stopped donating it to charity, but I can't say I regret donating all that, because I really do feel like in some small way maybe it did help, maybe someone out there saw it, or maybe some of it even actually got to the cause that it was supposed to be going to. Who fucking knows? But I do think that it was worthwhile, and I'm very proud of those donations, and I really do hope in some way they did make a difference. And speaking of making a difference, you guys have really changed my life. I know that's some real cheesy shit, you've probably heard it a million times. You fucking crack open a fortune cookie and it says thanks and shit. I get it that people say it a lot, but I mean it. I really do. You all, with all the support over the years, have genuinely changed my entire life, 100%. Especially during the early years when, you know, I was in a really rough state mentally. The positive comments and emails, that was huge, and it still is to this day. So I just want to say a huge thank you, a big fucking thank you. Now, another thing that I started to really want to do is to do more content than just video game related stuff, because that was all my channel was for the longest time, just gameplay and commentary of old games, shitty games, sometimes new games. And I really just didn't want to be just the gameplay commentary guy. I wanted to branch out and do new things, so I started doing infomercial dubs, the Real series. And then from the Real series, I started dubbing over fucking animals going wild in public. You know, cows running across the road, you know, after robbing a bank, shit like that. From there, I started doing other things, and then eventually I branched out to doing face stuff like this. I've always wanted to keep doing new, bigger, and more creative content. I never want to just be doing the same thing or feeling obligated to keep making the same kind of content, which is why all of it's so varied. Some videos I've made are 30 seconds long, some of them fucking 30 minutes long. It's just whatever I thought would be fun to do at the time is what I'd make, and I've always enjoyed doing that. I've never liked to be just, you know, restricted to one kind of, you know, content, and I think that's what keeps it fun. I feel like the reason a lot of creators on YouTube get burnt out or tired is because they're doing the same thing every single day, and I can't imagine how that could constantly stay fun. I think it's very important to keep bringing variety to the content so that way you yourself feel like you're evolving with it and having more fun doing these new creative things, and I've just always loved it. I realize that this is kind of all over the place. I haven't really structured this decade rewind very well, but fuck it, I'm just letting it all come out here. So, from high school to freshman year of college, I had no fucking idea how to properly socialize with human beings. I must have been the most uncomfortable person to be around in like a circle when everyone's talking because I didn't know what to do. I'd sit there quiet like a goddamn statue saying nothing. When someone make a joke and everyone was laughing, I'd sit there stone-faced. I wouldn't even fucking smile, and I wouldn't contribute anything. The entire conversation would go on with everyone talking around me, and I wouldn't say a word. I didn't realize that I didn't know how to talk to people. And it wasn't until my sophomore year of college that I had these roommates that showed me how to be social. It's not like they sat me down like a fucking intervention like, hey, you're creepy and you make us feel like you're one bad french fry away from lighting the campus on fire. They just led by example. They took me to parties and stuff. I watched them. They'd introduce me to the people they knew at the parties. Be like, hey, Charlie, tell them that story of how you saved my mom from getting mauled by a bear at the zoo. They really showed me how to talk and be around people without being a fucking weirdo. That was around 2013, and that shit was a game changer for me as well. So, a lot has happened in the decade. A lot of positive change has happened for me across the decade. And 2019 was probably one of the best years of my life. 2019 was a year of rebellion for me as well. All of you fucking pussies out there telling me to cut my hair, and I said no. I said fuck no. Now my hair is getting kind of long as fuck. I still can't do a full man bun, but I can do that, what is it, the Geralt of Rivia? This shit, kinda. I know, if you're wearing panties, you're gonna have to change that shit. Look at that. Beautiful. Now I only need it to come down to like right here. Then I'll be a real monster slaying, masculine mountain madman, volcanic testosterone and shit like that. Point being, fuck you. I grew my hair out all of 2019 and I'm not stopping. Not for a long time, baby. I'm gonna let my hair get all the way down to my ass crack. I'm gonna wait until I can actually accidentally get my hair caught in my asshole. And then, maybe then, I'll cut it. And only then will I even think about cutting it. But yeah, anyway, I mean, it's just been a really great, fun year. The streams at twitch.tv/moistcritical have been a lot of fun. I've been doing a lot of different content that I've had a lot of fun making, and it's just been a really fun year. And hopefully 2020 will be just as fun. And I really just kind of wanted to do this little wholesome kind of decade review, just because, I don't know, I haven't done a yearly answering questions thing. I want to do something a little different. So I thought this would be a fun little way of talking about the last 10 years or so and putting it in a little nutshell. But anyway, that's about it. So yeah. When I was a young teenager, I had a really weird relationship, and I don't mean with like a creepy uncle or anything like that. I had a weird relationship with masturbation. Now, this will come as a massive surprise to many of you Redditors out there, but when I was a young man, I was extremely religious. I got baptized twice just to make sure the Lord took notice in case he missed the first one. I wanted to make sure he took notice and saw that I got baptized. And this led to a lot of fear, especially when it came to my penis. I was fucking afraid of my wiener. But like all young men, those hormones are pumping and you just gotta slap that skin flute around to show it who the boss is. And when I did masturbate, it was a fucking nightmare. I'd sometimes cry after it because I felt like this sacrilegious act condemned me straight to hell as some kind of unforgivable sin where the devil knew I masturbated and made a special room in hell for me. It was rough. If you listen to the official podcast, I've kind of talked about this a little bit in the past, but I used to ask my parents permission to masturbate and then ask them like a million times if I was still going to heaven if I did. It was bad. It was bad. And the reason why I'm saying this today is because I felt like sharing a story that I just remembered because I was going through some old boner jams. I was looking at old music, and I came across Bullet for My Valentine. Bullet for My Valentine is a metal band, and they used to be my favorite band during this time period, during all this here that I was just talking about, setting the stage. And Bullet for My Valentine made it impossible for me to jerk off. I don't mean like the band themselves. Like the band members didn't come to my house and slap my dick out of my hand every time I was about to jerk off. But I owned one of their posters that I hung on my wall in my room. It was the only poster I ever owned, and the only reason I bought it is because I saw in like old 90s and 2000s movies, the cool kids always had like a ton of fucking band posters and shit, like Misfits and Green Day with the Beating Heart, and I was like, shit. You know, they're kind of cool. I'll try that too. So I went to FYE. I don't know how many of you even remember FYE. That's like the Blockbuster of music. FYE was a place that sold CDs and some DVDs. You could buy one CD and a pack of gum for like $90. That shit was a straight up fucking scam. But I went to FYE and I picked out a Bullet for My Valentine poster. And it wasn't a very cool poster. It wasn't like album cover art or anything like that. It was just a picture of the band members all staring at the camera. So when I hung that on my wall, it looked like those pictures in old cartoons where the eyes would follow you around like some Scooby-Doo shit. It was a kind of fucking weird poster, and it was the only thing on my wall, so I had this white fucking wall. It'd be like this. If I hung that poster right next to the Redline one and the Redline one wasn't there, it was just a completely empty wall with this one poster. It looked like some kind of religious thing where I'd like light candles in front of Bullet for My Valentine and pray, hoping to summon their spirit into my house or something. It was fucking goofy. But I thought it would help make me look cooler, so I'd take like some pictures in front of it and post it on MySpace, like, hey, I got a band poster and shit. They're a pretty popular band, people liked them, and to be fair, their music still absolutely slaps. I was listening to The Poison today, and that album still has some absolute bangers on it. So I was like, okay, this was a good idea, this is cool, people think I'm a little cooler now because my room's got Bullet for My Valentine poster in it. But when I wanted to masturbate, I realized a massive problem. I hung the poster in the middle of the wall directly behind me. And my room was very small, so I could reach out and touch it like here. And I had the poster right behind me. Like it was my shadow. And the poster was looking over my shoulder. It was directly behind me. It was like Bullet for My Valentine was always staring at whatever the fuck I was doing on the computer at this time. And I didn't realize how intrusive that would be when it comes to masturbation. Like, you know when the screen goes black on your phone or computer when you're watching porn and then you see your own greasy reflection there? Well, I had that, plus all 4 members of Bullet for My Valentine watching it with me. It was like some shit out of a horror movie where when somebody wipes off the mirror, there's another reflection in it. So it's not like I jerked off very often back then because I was so afraid of it. I wouldn't jerk off for like 5 or 6 months. I'd carry around like 6 months worth of nut, and it made me absolutely mentally ill. I had OCD, like actual obsessive compulsive disorder, not that shit they talk about on Twitter where someone cleaned their disgusting room because I had like fucking 15 Travis Scott meals lying around and shit all over the place, so they cleaned it and then said they were OCD because they wanted it clean or whatever. No, you just wanted to clean a dog shit messy room. I get it. It's not OCD though. I had a whole lot of shit going on during this time, and this Bullet for My Valentine poster was about to make it a lot worse. Because every time I did try and jerk off, and that poster existed there for like 2 years, every time I tried to jerk off, I fucking couldn't. I couldn't focus because I knew Bullet for My Valentine was right next to me, watching it and watching me. It fucking felt so uncomfortable. I remember I put tape over their eyes one time. Every band member's eyes, I put a little piece of duct tape. Do you know how fucking insane that looks? I probably would have looked like an actual serial killer if someone came into that room and saw that. Like, Charlie, why is there duct tape over their eyes? That's like some Zodiac killer shit. I had to stop listening to Bullet for My Valentine's music because every time I heard it, I'd think of jerking off, which is probably not what they were going for when they were making their music, trying to inspire some 16-year-old boy to just constantly think about touching his dick. It's so fucking terrible, all just because I bought a poster to look cool. And I should have just bought like an album poster, but that was the only thing FYE had was like this selfie of all four of them holding their instruments or whatever. It was terrible until one day I finally reached the boiling point and I just ripped it off the wall. I just ripped that shit right off the wall and I never looked back. Just so I had freedom to masturbate in my masturbatorium again. And I tell you, that relief when I finally did bust that age-old nut without Bullet for My Valentine haunting the room was euphoric. It was like a curse had been lifted and it was safe again to masturbate in the room. It was all just because I bought a fucking band poster to look cool. But to be fair, Bullet for My Valentine's music, still good. Still good music, yeah. I just wanted to share this because I was listening to the album again and it brought up all those repressed memories that I guess I just stored in the back of my mind. Now, I want to make it clear, I did still masturbate during this time. I wasn't a coward. I wasn't a pussy that was about to abandon masturbation just because I was a little uncomfortable with a band watching me do it. I still did manage to bust some out from time to time, but it made it a lot more difficult. So yeah, Bullet for My Valentine ruined the fun of masturbation for me for a little while. That's it. See ya.